So I am Olivier Epinette, Chief Academic Officer at Institut Mines-Télécom Business School. I have been working at the school for the last 20 years. I'm a specialist, well, try to be specialist in marketing and more specifically in industrial marketing. What is interesting for me is the way the providers and the customers, they work together, especially when they are developing such new innovation solution based on IT technologies. For the last 20 years before joining the administrative position, I used to work with companies such as the communication companies, the equipment suppliers, but as well with the car industry. We used to work closely with the engineers to understand how we can market such platforms such as Netflix, for instance, well, the French equivalent of Netflix. The deployment of Wi-Fi aboard trains, on airport, and always the same focus. Engineers are quite well, so they know what they're doing, right? But the thing is, the moment you put those solutions onto the market, sometimes it's very complicated because the pricing is different, the features of the product are different. So it's always interesting to work from the beginning, that's what we discussed before. From the inception of the technology, we need to have people from both sides, technology and management, to work together because you always need to adapt your technology to make sure that it will be well marketed. And if as an engineer you had the managing people or the design people too late in your project, you won't be able to really get the benefits of having a strong team working together from the very beginning, right? So working with the engineers, working with the design people from the very beginning when you want to design a new solution and put it onto the market, that is the beauty of it, because really you can adapt little by little. I will discuss afterwards regarding the different types of innovation processes. But we need really to have the people working together from the very beginning. I know it's complicated. We don't speak the same language, really. Even if you share the same language, we don't put the same definitions or the same concepts behind the words. But what is really important is to have them working together from the very beginning, because it makes your product or your system more successful. As a marketing people, there is something we can say to the engineers people. Marketing may help you, right? But it's not going to save your day. I mean, if the product or the solution, the system, whatever you put onto the market is bad in terms of features, well, marketing is maybe able to sell one or two pieces of it, but at the end of the day, you won't be able to sell it, okay? So I wanted to, just in a nutshell, to present you a few key issues which to me are very much important when we deal with digital transformation. That is something we used to do with the EMBA people at school when we're receiving students from other schools or with our own students. And it seems to me that in the world who are working today, technology is important to understand for the managers, right? You want to be managers, or you are already managers, right? No, you don't want? Because you don't want, I mean, we can talk about something else. I'm quite good in history, but yeah. So the thing is, technology matters. And as you expressed before, the school is very much focused on bringing technologies to managers and having people working together. That is something which is very much important. Why is it so important? Because really now, the technology is evolving so fast, that as a manager, if you don't understand what's going on, then you won't be able to make the best of it. And moreover, when you look at the marketing functions, for instance, but even human resources or whatever, if you don't understand the technologies which are now available on the shelf, right, on the shelf, you don't have to develop something specific. Already on the shelf, you can take the technologies and put it into your own functions. If you don't understand what's going on, it means that you won't be able to get the real flavor of it. Speaking about artificial intelligence, speaking about mobile solutions, speaking about mobile payment and everything, those are solutions on the shelf, and so you have to understand what's going on and be able to understand when you're developing a solution or a new process within your own company, you have to really understand what's going on. Yeah, so that's why it seems to me that technology matters. So again, the point is not to make you an engineer, but as an engineer or as a manager using such solution, you have to know about ethics. You have to know about data privacy. each time you put a new technology on the market, there are some issues covering ethics, covering data privacy, and so on. So I don't know how data privacy is managed in Uruguay, but in Europe, that is something which is very much of importance, right? So that's something you have to take to really understand and be aware when you want to put something new onto the market. And as much, if you don't understand what's going on, you won't be able to really to develop the best your company. Alors, why technology matters? You've got emerging technologies which are fueling new business models, right? Speaking about Uber, speaking about Netflix, and so on. So all those technologies are really fueling the changes onto the market, which means that for those new companies, it's quite easy to really develop new business models. But the same goes for the old mature industry, right? If we speak about the car industry, for instance, right now, Renault, Peugeot, in France, they are developing short renting services for the cities. So they are moving from a business model based on selling cars to renting services or saving mobility, right? Which is a tremendous change. You can imagine that within the organization, you are organized to produce the car. So you are able to survey your market, to design the cars, to design the setup of partners, the providers you will be working with, for logistics issue, for spare parts, for everything, right? And then you produce it, or you assembly it, and then you put it into the market. That's the traditional business. Speaking about renting, it's completely different, right? You have to change the way you are organizing your own company. Which means that even if Renault was not the first, as Uber, to put the new solution onto the market as serving mobility, today they are forced to go for it, right? They want to do it, they don't want to do it, but they have to do it, right? Anyway. And the same goes for the bank. I don't know, for the fintech, how many accounts do you have, each of you? 1 account, 2 accounts at banks? 2? Only 2? Yeah. Wow, it's only the beginning. 2, 3 more, 5? Yeah. So the point is, when you look at the fintech means that you are able to really understand, to observe all the situation the client is, when he's using his credit cards, the loans, buying shares, selling shares on the market exchange, everything. So if you are a fintech and you are able to gather all the data from the customers, you will be able to produce much more services, which is something which is impossible for the traditional bank, since they only a part of your activity, right? So the point is, again, if the banks doesn't understand what's going on, it's quite complicated for them to really understand and to see how they can work better along with you. So the good news is that the new business models, they disrupt existing markets, as in the case of Renault and the banks, but at the same time, it creates new opportunities, right? Thing is, are you ready to take it? That's something else, but at least the good news is that we can do something new. And the thing is, for the last 20 years, what we have observed is that there is a growing use of the IT solutions. All of you, at least you've got 1 mobile, maybe 2, maybe 3. No, not yet. But you've got your own GPS, you've got your, I don't know, your tablets, you've got your PC, notebooks, Apple, whatever the brand, right? But you are used to use IT, right? And the thing is that you expect the same from every type of service you want to use, right? I was discussing about the school, speaking about the digital transformation, the school, we have to go through the digital transformation. Well, I don't know how it is done here, but at my school, really, and each and every day, we have to, forced to really show the employees which solutions we have to provide our students in terms of services, because we want them to have the same experience when they're using the school or when they're at school as when they're buying a flight ticket or buying a train ticket or, I don't know, going to a restaurant or whatever it is. I mean, they're expecting the same solution, the same type of experience, right? And that's something the school is not really, well, we are much better than before, still, but we are working on. Yeah? And that's something which is quite complicated for understand, for the employees. So the massive adoption means that we are now facing people which are used, who are used to really use those solutions, such as something which is daily, in the daily life. And then, normally, the market opportunity is sustained venture creation. Again, if you take the example of the education, in the field of education, higher education right now, we've got a lot of new solutions put onto the market, right? Speaking about the MOOC platforms, but there is a lot of private companies now, at least in France or in Europe, which are providing solutions, new solutions, for education, which are very well adapted to the needs or to the wishes of the clients, of the students, and that's something which means that we have to adapt and follow them along with them. So normally, new technologies, new business models, new market opportunities, which means that we've got a virtuous cycle, right? Am I clear? Yes. So the world is changing, right? Just to put a few names. Technological environment is something which is now changing every day, right? So the mobile, everyone has got a mobile. IPv6.0, well, it doesn't matter the type of technology. What it matters is that we can connect every device, every piece of physical product to the internet. Internet of Things, right? We can connect everything. It's possible. Discussing with the School of Engineering dealing with aerospace, for instance, we are discussing about the plane without pilot. Right? It works. There is no issue. It works. We are able to put so many sensors on the airplane that we can have something which is able to pilot by itself without any human interaction. Moreover, the human interaction may lead to some accidents because they don't know really, they're not able to react fast enough regarding the information they are giving or they're feeling at the same time, right? So the question about the pilot, the plane without pilot, is just about the perception of the passengers. Question is, do you want to be on board a plane without a pilot? Of course you want. Of course you want. What will be the criteria for you to make your choice? The price. I mean, if the price is cheap, you will take it. Yes. No, you will take it. There is no issue. Of course you will. I mean, not you personally, but I know that people will take it for sure, right? We are used to metro without driver. We are used to car without driver. Have you already tried the car without driver? No. It's very safe. Really? It works, right? So the moment we can do that, there is no issue. I mean, if the price is low enough, if the quality is low enough, I don't think there will be some issue. So the question is the moment when is it going to happen, not if it's going to happen, right? And of course, data. We've got a lot of data. Speaking about big data, data processes, and so on. So the question right now is that we've got a lot of sensors able to gather to collect all those data, right? In fact, the problem we've got now is that very few companies are really able to take advantage of that data. There's so many data coming every second, every minute, right? We don't know what to do with. So with the exception of platforms such as Amazon or Netflix, for instance, because this is the really basic energy they need to fuel the business, very few companies right now are really able to understand what they can do with so much data. But the data is here. We are now able to gather the information, the data, do data. So the question is what we want to do with it, right? So again, as a manager, if you don't understand what we can do, how you are collecting data, it will be very complicated afterwards to get the data, to process that data, and then to make some decisions. But again, there is no issue regarding the fact that the data is here. It's getting larger and larger by the minute, the amount of data you've got, right? So the question is, we need to do something, what we are going to do with it, yeah? And again, that's something which is quite complicated because if you look at the way the companies are organized today, you've got the marketing department, the human resources department, the accounting department, the logistics department, the design department, the R&D department, and it's very complicated, in fact, to have them working together, again, right? We've got the words, we've got the processes maybe, we've got the will, but at the end of the day, having people together working on that is quite complicated. And in fact, when you discuss with CEOs in many companies, they don't understand what is going on. They don't understand. It's too much complicated. There's so many things coming from everywhere that they don't know what to do. Discussing with Renault again, or even with communication company such as Orange, for instance. But all over the world is the same. There are so many things changing at the same time that they don't know how to manage this transformation. And it's going worse by the minute, or better, I don't know. Worse because you've got more and more things coming in every day. And better because normally the more you will be certain about the data, the more comfortable you will be with the data, with the interaction with the devices and so, the more normally you should be able to take advantage and make something new onto the market. And there are more, right? Speaking about biotech, for instance, speaking about 3D, we've got a lot of things to be done with 3D. Right now, for instance, at school, we're working with Dassault System. So Dassault System is using 3D simulation to train the people and to recruit the people. And of course, there are some companies using artificial intelligence to screen the referees they receive from the market. They're receiving so many CVs that they're able to use they're using such solution to really get the cream of it, the best out of it. So that is the thing right now what's going on, and it's not going to change today. So we've got new actors, right? So you've got Google, Amazon, Facebook, Apple. Now you've got Netflix, Tesla, Uber, Airbnb. So there are so many changes right now in the world that the way the market is going is not going to stop right now. And even if you want to make some laws to stop or to control to some extent the way the market is going, it's quite complicated. I don't know if you knew, for instance, about the manifestation they had in Barcelona regarding the use of Airbnb, right? Because Airbnb, more and more people within Barcelona, they want to use Airbnb to rent their flats. So it's much more complicated right now for employees to be able to rent something in Barcelona because the prices are getting higher and higher. And the same goes for Paris, the same goes for every city all around the world. If you've got sightseeing, of course, people, they will use Airbnb to rent, right, the flats or the houses or whatever. But the thing is, it changes everything around within the city, the way to organize, and so on. So of course, the law is going to change, and they want to adapt because there is no city hall really able to not to listen to the manifestation on the street. But for sure, the way it goes is not going to be stopped. So maybe the platform itself won't be such a success in that city, but anyway, the way we're able to rent and to propose the flats or the houses to everyone is going to be changed forever, right? The same goes for Uber. It's interesting, Uber. 2 years ago, I was going to Mexico, so I took a taxi in Paris to go to the airport. And the taxi man told me that, you know, you don't have to take your Uber. It's very dangerous. I know a man who knows a man who knows himself a wife, a woman who was raped by the Uber driver. I said, wow, it's very bad, of course. And then I arrived in Mexico. And again, you know, I take the taxi driver going to Itam. And the guy said, okay, don't take Uber, you know, because Uber is very dangerous. We know a man who knows a woman who has been raped by Uber taxi. Well, what I know is that my MBA students, when we go to India, when we go to the States, when we go to France, when we go to Finland, the first thing they do, they open the app and the Uber, right? So there is no difference. And they're able to find a taxi, whether they are in Delhi, whether they are in Tampere, or they are in Paris, or they are in San Francisco, or they are even in Mexico. So the thing is, it is there, right? So of course the taxi may go along, they can strike or they can really struggle against the Uber. But what is interesting is that at the same time in France, for instance, when you discuss with the taxi drivers, some of them, they use the Uber platform. Because at the end of the day, this is a platform, a technical platform, right? So it makes it easy for you to interact with your clients, right? And they can even rank the way you interact with them. Yeah? And that's the good news. But the thing is, there is something and you can't come back. There is no way back. No way back, for sure. And whatever the country you are in, it's always the same move. Maybe you can slow down a little bit. But if you look at Canada, for instance, Canada was really one of the the very first countries in the world to deal with Airbnb and to make a specific tax law. Right. in the United States, some cities, they are using Uber for transport, for common transport. So this is the way it goes, right? Tesla is good, right? Tesla has been the only company successful in the car industry for the last 100 years, created, right? The only one. And that guy is not able to sell the cars. He just sells the possibility to buy a car, right? So people are queuing for 3 years or waiting for 3 years to buy a car. Can you imagine that? Wow. So what's going on? I mean, the expectation the clients they have, or the future clients they have regarding Tesla is something which is quite important. Climate change, electricity, car without driver. Well, the whole thing is quite different from the traditional car you can find right now on the road, right? And so people are waiting for that. But when you look at the ecosystem of Tesla, it's not only about the car. It's also about the full ecosystem Tesla has been able to build. So they've got a lot of different points where you can go and charge your car, right? All over US and all over Europe. In Europe right now, they've got more points to charge your car than other car companies. Think of it. So even if they are not successful with the car industry, with the car itself, they will be successful because they are the one providing the electricity for you to charge your car. No battery, right? So he's able to think in the whole ecosystem. Very car companies are able to do the same. Yeah? And that's something which is quite interesting because many companies right now are trying to do the same. If you look at what Volvo, for instance, was announcing 6 months ago that by 2022 they won't produce any longer the traditional thermic car. They will only be producing electrical car. Maybe because of the Chinese shareholders, but still BMW is the same in the same way. The same goes for Mercedes. The same goes for Volkswagen. Well, to some extent, the same goes for Renault and Peugeot in France, and the same goes for the US. Well, it depends on about the Trump policy, but well, normally, because of California, or thanks to California or some state regulation, normally they should be able to really to change. But that is the way it goes, right? So there is something which is new. Each time you've got a new actor onto the market, they are able to change the way the market is organized, right? So it is like we've got a whole world and a new world. So the whole world is dying. They don't know, but they are dying, right? And the new world is just emerging right now. But they are not able to get together. They don't work together. They don't face together. I mean, they just ignore each other, right? And it goes in every country in the world. It has nothing to do with well-developed, not well-developed. Nothing to do with that. I mean, as long as everyone has got a mobile and everything is already on the shelf, you've got something to be done. Can you imagine that the women in Africa, for instance, they use the mobile to pay, to buy and pay their product. And they go to the market and they're able to use the SMS solution, short message service solution. In Africa, right? So more poor than that, quite complicated. But they're using it, right? And the same goes for the health services. There are some companies, it's quite complicated, in fact, to manage the health payment, the health system payment, and are using as well the mobile solution, but very basic solution with the mobile, just for the clients to be able to pay for the doctor, for the medicine, whatever, right? So new actors, each time you put something new onto the market, you are going to put some pressure. Maybe they won't be successful, maybe, right? But anyway, they're changing the world, that is for sure. Looking at Netflix, for instance, Netflix is changing the way even the public television company, right? They're doing things. In France, everybody is almost, every public channel has got a plan to do something similar to Netflix. The same goes for BBC in UK. Everywhere around the world, we know that people are used now to look at Netflix or something similar to Netflix. So you have to change the way you do it. Otherwise, you won't be able to sustain your business in the years to come, for sure, right? But Netflix is not only about the platform. Netflix is about the content, and most of all, the thing is how they're able to collect data for the things you are really watching on Netflix. So there are very few companies right now eager to do the same as Netflix, which are able to get the data from the way that Netflix is able to do it, and then to adapt the content to your wishes, the way Netflix is able to do it. So Netflix is not only about the platform, but really the way they are able to get the data and put it into something which is useful for the client. And that's something else. Again, you know, it's about data collection, data management, data processing, and then making decisions based on those data. That's something which is quite important. Speaking about new actors, I mean, few of you, you know about Yahoo. No, Yahoo, right now is something we just forget about it, right? We don't know about Yahoo. You know, Yahoo was the very first search engine, right? Successful, 98. Well, most of you were not yet in the world, but still, I was a young student. So Yahoo at that time was the only solution for you to look something on the web, right? And soon after, we came Google. So what is the difference between Yahoo and Google? The way they are able to process the data and really give you the information regarding the links. Nothing else. Something which was done hand done by Yahoo was something which was done by the computer, by the processing, by the servers itself at Google. So technological change, right? The same business, search engine, to provide the clients with the links you are looking for. But the way they were providing the information, the final information for the users, were much more automatized and then much more useful for them. Right? So again, in the same industry, two very new company, innovative company, just because of technological changes, they were able to take the lead and then kick them out of the market. Well, not exactly, but well, quite well. So about the changes, so massive adoption and usage of technology. Everyone uses technologies. Right? I'm very surprised because very few of them, Maria, for instance, she doesn't use Waze. I don't know why, but she doesn't. Right? Waze is something which is quite interesting. Again, 2 days ago in Buenos Aires, when I took the taxi, the guy is going to the TomTom. So there was a big strike, big manifestation, I don't know, something relating football teams, well, I don't know, something. Well. So my colleague was discussing with the taxi driver regarding which road we could take and so on. I mean, we was discussing about Waze. He said, no, Waze is too much complicated because you have to download, the update is very frequent, it's not so keen, it's very complicated to be used. Come on, you are using Waze?
Yes, sure.
Right. There is nothing more simple, right? There is nothing more simple. I mean, we've got the time of arrival, you know, everything. So I mean, so the thing is, for a taxi driver, I mean, I don't care. But only for one day, it's okay. If I live in Argentina for one day, it's okay. But I mean, if you live in the country where the people, they keep on telling you that Waze is no use, and they're using such a solution, which we know is not very the best, let us say. Of course, it makes the thing difficult when you deal with your providers. So the massive adoption and the usage of technology mean that right now, your customers, your partners, your employees, your bosses, they expect you to use the technology, right? And that is something which is very much important because, in fact, everybody knows that we have to use it, but ourselves, we are at the same time the producer and the customer, right? So as a customer, we are expecting such things, right? But as a producer, you are not so keen in developing solutions or using solutions and so on, right? So there is a kind of schizophrenia in that sense, right? As a professor, you know, I don't like very much when my students, they are using the mobile when they're in class, right? But as a client, for the taxi driver, for the plane and so on, I like to use my mobile. You will say, okay, it's different. No, it's not different. It's all the same, right? The world is changing, so you have to adapt yourself. And the thing is how it impacts your business, or your activities, or your job, and then to adapt yourself. But what is for sure is that anyway, there is a massive adoption and people will go for it. There is no question. The second thing is the global warming sensitivity. We know that if you want to adapt your product, your service, your system, whatever it is, you need to develop new solutions, new processes, new materials, new components, everything, right? It costs a lot. Right? But the good news is that instead of buying the product or the service, you can rent, right, the service or the product. So again, people, they know that we all want to be nice with our planet, right? Well, at least I do. I don't know about you, but at least I do. So I'm trying to, the most possible, the most often, I try at least to be nice to my planet, with my planet, and then I take care, and then I don't buy everything the way I used to buy before, right? So it has an impact on the way, again, I'm interacting with the company. I also care, I don't know, the papers you will need when they issue the bill, when they issue the payment, well, everything, whatever the things. You really care about the way you're interacting with the company or the public organization, the service, the public service as well, right? So you care of it. So again, it means some pressure, it gives some pressure for the companies and for the public organization. And of course, the buying power, right? Everywhere in the world, the buying power is decreasing. Alors, I'm not speaking about the rich people, right? Because they're getting richer by the day, so there is no question. But most of the people right now, they're getting poorer. Well, they feel they're getting poorer. Well, some of them are getting poorer. What is really important right now, what is happening right now, is that the prices are decreasing, right? The cost of production are decreasing because of China, because of India, because of IT solutions. The costs are decreasing, right? So there is no issue. So in fact, the perception of your buying power decreasing at the same time having more solutions or more services proposed to you mean that there is a strong, it's quite complicated in fact for many customers to understand what's going on. But what is for sure is that many clients, they feel that their buying power is decreasing, for sure, right? I'm not an economist, so don't get into the dilemma, but for sure that there is something going along with it. So if you've got less money to spend, it means that you will look for some other solutions at the same time. Right? So you've got some changes because you know the technology. You've got changes because you care about the others, about the planet in itself, and also because you see the money you've got ready to spend. So of course you will try to adapt yourself. So again, as a company, you have to take care of that. Right? I don't know about the school itself, but many times my students, they told me, why do you have to print so many papers? Right? Everything is online, so why? Why do we need books? We've got e-books. So what? Okay? Just an example. Alors, the world is becoming smarter. I don't know if you know that. Yeah? Yeah. I don't know if it's good news, but well, it's the news anyway. We've got smart customers, you've got smart competitors, and you've got smart employees. Alors, smart customers. Since you are able to get so much data from your customers, you are able to share with your customers. I mean, if you go to Amazon, if you go to Uber, if you go to whatever the platform, you are able to get a lot of information regarding the experiences of other customers, right? So at least they have some information they can use to make their decision. I'm not speaking about the information given by the company itself. I'm speaking about the information the clients are able to gather by themselves. Right? So if they've got more information, normally, more information means that you are able to make better decisions, right? You can compare the prices, you can compare the features, you can compare many things, right? So at the end of the day, normally you should be able to be a smarter client. Don't you think so? I like to feel that I'm smarter. And the same goes for competition. The smart customers are in terms of expectation and in terms of behaviors. Speaking about the behavior, just to give you an example, our user, student, I was discussing with the people in charge of this school in Stanford 2 or 3 years ago, and he was telling us that there was one moment the students were not coming to the class, to the courses. And so he was very, not upset, but quite annoyed, because he wanted to know why the students didn't come. So he was asking the students, and they say, well, professor, everything is online. We've got your videos, we've got your book, we've got your project, everything is online. So why the hell do you want me to come? Everything is already online. So I mean, I know that it's very nice, your class, but I'm not going to learn more than what is already available to me outside the class. So maybe if you change the way you deal with your class, I will come back. Otherwise, thank you very much. I mean, I really like your videos and your books. It's very entertaining. I mean, it's very nice. But I mean, I'm not going to spend too much time in class because it's just a loss of time, right? Smart customers. Smart customers. The same goes with the company. How many of you goes to a bank right now? How many? Or how often? Once every century? Right? You don't go to bank. So can you imagine how much effort they put into organizing the offices, the hours, the processes to interact with the clients and everything, right? All that money spent for nothing, almost for nothing, right? So smart employees, yeah? Just to give you an example about the banks, I was discussing with the people from BNP Paribas, which is one of the top leading banks in France, and they've got a very nice agency near Opera in Paris. So I don't know if you know Paris, but it's a very nice place. And everything, they've got a screen everywhere. They've got tables with screens, everything nice, really. I mean, you like it. It's like Apple, but for bank, right? And they were discussing with the employees. The thing is that, of course, they've got a lot of screens and they can interact through the screens with the customers. But in fact, they haven't changed. At that time, they didn't change yet the processes. So in fact, the information they could share with the employee, with the customers through the screens is very little. So of course it's nice, right? Because it's much better to use a screen than use paper. But in fact, the way you interact with the bank itself, the type of information they can provide to you is nothing, because the system has not been changed to take advantage of the fact that you're using a multimedia or interactive solution, right? So again, I mean, as a customer, if there is nothing to be done with such a solution, you don't go. You can use your mobile, you can use, I don't know, whatever the solution on website. It will be the same. So don't spend too much money if you are not really able to take the most of the solution you can have when you interact with your employees or your customers. So the same goes with facing new competition, smart competitors, right? Speaking about Renault, they have to be smart because right now the demand is changing. So that you've got new actors coming onto the market. Maybe not all of them are going to survive onto the market for sure, but at least some of them are going to survive. So the question is that if they're smart, you have to be as smart as them, even smarter than them, right? So the thing is, you have to understand the new actors. Again, when you are a very large company, traditional company, when everything goes fine, you are able to make profit, you are able to reward your employees, your products are successful onto the market. Why you have to bustle regarding the coming of new actors onto the market? But you never know, because the moment they will move and they will act, or they will start acting, something is going in. And something is going to happen to your market, and then you will have to change, or you have to redo the things you are used to do with your clients or with your clients, right? So new actors always mean that, but there is always new actors. I like to say that, it's not for the marketing people because we know that, but for engineer people, there is always competition, right? Even if your product is smart, very smart, there is always competition, right? People used to communicate each other before the mobile. No? Of course, right? People used to move around without before the plane or before the car, right? So there is no issue. I mean, there is always solution, there is always competition onto your market. Even if your technological solution is very smart, very nice, and so on, I mean, there is always competition. So the question is how the clients are going to make the decisions regarding the solutions, right? But there is always solution. And that is something which is quite important as well. 20 years ago, when I started my career, I used to give classes of marketing to the communication companies. So at that time, it was just the beginning of the mobile industry. I was dealing with companies such as Telefónica in Argentina, Telefónica in Mexico, Telefónica in Morocco, in France, in Hungary, and everything. And we were telling them that mobile was the future of the market, right? It's so nice. No? It's convenient. You can use it everywhere. Well, as long as you got the courage, but still you can use it everywhere, right? And they keep on telling us, well, there is no market for the mobile. I say, well, of course there is a market. The question is, not today, but tomorrow or day after tomorrow. So why they were saying that there was no market? At that time, the cost of a device in France, for instance, was something like 2,000 euros. I don't know how much it does in pesos in Argentina, but it was something like $2,000, right? The cost of communication per minute was something like 5 euros. And if you wanted to buy a device and the solution, the contract with it, you had to go to a public office where nobody was able really to understand and to explain to you how the solution was working, right? So at that moment, the solution put onto the market, of course, was not the one expected from the client, for sure. But I mean, the more you produce the device, the more you are able to understand your market, the more you understand how you can market that product, and for sure, it should be a success, right? It's much simpler. I mean, you can use it everywhere you go, right? So there is no issue. Something more simple than that, we don't know. So the question is, you have really to understand how the market is going to evolve, how the actors are going to change the market you are working in. And 20 years ago, when you look at the top leaders in the mobile industry, in the top 10 all around the world, none of the historical companies, such as Telefonica, such as AT&T in the US, France Télécom in France, none of them were leading the market. None of them. All of them were the competitors. The top 10 was only new actors onto the market. Every one of them, they just felt the others, I mean the traditional communication company, right? So I like history because it likes to repeat itself many times, and that is something which is quite important. It is not because today your market is not ready for it that tomorrow it won't be. And because we've got so many evolutions, so many technological evolution, it's quite easy to change the technology. You have to understand that really that's something which can be changed overnight. Well, maybe I'm exaggerating a little, but at least in a year or two, you can change the way it goes, really. So smart competitors and new market approach. And then the smart employees, right? So you want your people to be smart, don't you? Yes. Of course you want. Well, depends. No, of course we want, right? Speaking about innovation, right? Right now, if you want to innovate, you need to do things little by little, right? Try fast, fail fast, redo fast, okay? It's finished the moment you needed to 3 years, 5 years to deliver a final project onto the market. It's over, right? It's over, really. It depends on the technologies, but most of the market right now is completely changing. So the thing is, you need to change your organization. Because if you keep on having so many hierarchies line into your organization, you won't be able to make it, right? I mean, if you need to go to the bus of the bus of the bus of the bus through the bus to give an idea or to share ideas or to share some troubles within the company, you're not going to be reactive, you're not going to be proactive, you're just going along with the flow, right? So you need to change your organization. Looking at the banks, for instance, I was telling you before that the way you are interacting through the screens, the processes were not really keen, really, to interact with the customers. So if you want to do something, you have to deal with the marketing people, with the IT people. Unfortunately, sometimes we have to deal with. No, I'm kidding. Because you need not only to think in terms of features and in terms of solutions, but also you have to change the interaction and the technologies, right? So it means you need to be really proactive. So you have to change your organization. The focus of, you focus your customers onto your customers. You did have some courses of marketing where we keep on telling you that we have to focus on customers. We have to focus on customers. Well, the day has come. We are now focusing on customers, right? Which means that we are able to align all the company, but very few lines of hierarchy within the company. I know a company in Finland dealing with software. There is one line of hierarchy. They've got something like 200 employees. And they have a growth rate of 30% per year. And they're doing well, quite well. Software development, one line of hierarchy. IBM, how many? Well, That is the way it goes, right? So you have to change your organization, for sure, because otherwise you won't be able to adapt yourself. If you are too much vertical, too much strict in the lines within the organization, you won't be able to adapt yourself. It's impossible. Right? Again, that's something complicated because everything goes fine, right now, for sure, and you know that something is wrong, so you have to adapt yourself. So it's not so easy to manage, but it's something you have to do, right? And of course, new ways of innovation. You need to trust your employees, because the more service we go, the more interaction your employees they've got with your clients, and so the more they will be able to capture information and return on the way they see the benefits of the product of your company. So you have to trust your employee. You have to be able to gain the trust of your company and be able to gain the ideas they've got from your customers, from their interaction with the market. And the same goes for the purchase department when they deal with suppliers, right? And the same deals with human resources when they deal with employees, when they want to recruit new people. So new ways of innovation. So again, there is no unique solution. That's something we have to work on. We're just in the beginning of the path. But you have to do something because you need really to trust your employees. So don't worry, there are some companies which are going to pressure the price of the cost of the employees still. But most of the time, when you deal with your clients, you have when your employees deal with the clients, you need to be able to get the inputs they have from the interaction. Yeah. Alors, customers' experience matters, right? The more interaction you are offering your clients, and that is the thing which IT offers right now, right? The more you are interacting with customers, and the more you need to understand how you can, little by little, step by step, get knowledge, get data, collect the data, process the data, and put it into your process and your products and your services, right? If you look at Google, for instance, every Tuesday they are able to renew completely the interface of Google Search. Do you know about it? Of course you don't. The same goes with Waze. Do you know about the changes they do? No, you don't. You don't care. I mean, as a customer, you don't care, right? And that's normal. But the thing is, they're able to get that data and to put it back into the system, right? And so the question is, how can we follow the customer experience, the customer journey within the company? And again, for the education, higher education, the same trouble. We have the same trouble. We're in the same boat as the others. Higher education is going through tremendous changes, and we have to understand how we can go along with those changes. Again, really, that's complicated. You can't imagine how much data we've got regarding our students. You can't imagine. We have got a lot of information. What we do with this information? Very little, right? I should be able to push you some information, some videos, some books, some projects, some relationships, some people to work with, some companies, I don't know, whatever. I mean, to make really take the best from the career, from the experience you have at school, right? And the same goes for everyone within the company. That is something which is important. And the thing is, the more in technologies you've got, each technology has got its own way of interacting with the people. So the question is, when you make a decision, marketing people, when they make a CRM decisions regarding the type of CRM they want to put into use and so on, have as well to understand how the technology is working, how it works. I'm not going to developing for sure, but at least understand how it works. Because the type of data you want to get from that interaction is not really the one you will be getting from the technology. So of course you will have to adapt the technology. Just to give you an example, at the very beginning of Netflix in France, the solution which was provided by a private channel, so-called Canal+. So the question is that when you want to buy or to rent a video online, right? You go through the website, and then you will ask for the movie you want to download, and then you go to the server of the platform, you just decide which one, and then you get the download, right? At that time, the platform was not able to understand if the client stopped downloading the video, why does it stop? So why is it important to understand why it doesn't, is not going to download? It may be something wrong with the network. So in that case, the communication company is the responsible. It may go with the fact the client wanted to stop because he wanted to change. He had changed his mind, so he wanted to change for another video, right? So if the customer is changing, well, we are going to charge or to recharge the customer. Is something maybe wrong with the platform itself, right? But I mean, as long as you don't understand what is the thing explaining the way that explaining the stopping of the stop, so the fact that the client was stopping the download, you are not able to charge or to just understand what's going on. So the problem was at the very beginning, very often, most often, the clients did not use that solution because it didn't work. Right? But again, it's just a problem of technology. I mean, after 6 months, you are able to make a deal with the communication company to implement a VPN solution, and so you are able to really guarantee the client the fact that each time he will choose one solution, he will get that solution, right? But before it is not. So the same goes with solutions you've got right now. You have to put new solutions onto the market. We know that they're not perfect from the very beginning, so you have to adapt your solutions. Okay? So the more you are focusing on your customer, and the more you want to provide him with solutions to interact with the company, whatever they are, it means that on both technological point of view and managing point of view, you have to really understand how the interactions are made. Otherwise, you won't be able to get the best of it. Right? Or maybe you will get a lot of data, but out of which you're not able to make sense. You don't make sense out of it, really, for sure. Right? So buying versus interacting, and that is the point. You don't want to buy anymore. You want to rent because you don't care about buying something. You don't really that much. How many of you buys DVDs? No, no, it's over. Bye. So, cars? All of you? Still? How bad of you? How bad of you? Mobile? You buy your mobile? No. Come on. Really? What for? Okay. Alright, no joking. The thing is, so people are looking for interacting, for renting. Renting means interacting, right? And the more service you provide, and the more you need to understand how it interacts with your customers. So again, you have to understand and you have to do something out of it. Seeking new experience. So the thing is, if everyone is doing the same, speaking about the company, you are looking as a customer for differentiated experience, right? And the good news is, with the IT, you are able to do it. Well, to some extent, yeah. But again, if you don't understand what they want or how you can do it, well, it's going to be complicated because otherwise you won't be able really to do it. But for sure, you are able to do it. If you look at Amazon platform, for instance, you all use Amazon,
Yes.
right? It's very nice, no? Well, it's American, but I like it.
Very friendly.
You have to make a choice between being American or being a happy customer. Well, it's very good, right? You are able to share your comments with others. You can have your own wish list. Well, everything is okay, right? I mean, in terms of customer experience, it's very good, right? Plus, with the Prime Video, I'm very keen on renting books with my Kindle. It's just fantastic, right? So that is the thing. I mean, you look different. You think that they're taking care of you, right? They're really able to make the best of your experience and to provide you with the right information and the right advices. Well, depends sometimes, but that is the point of it. Yeah, it should be the same with the banks, no? No, of course, no. No. The banks come and no, it's complicated, right? So that is why you've got the fintech. So the fintech, they are providing you with a differentiated experience. I don't know if you're using application to share, to optimize the way you are interacting with your banks. Myself, I've got one application which is called I have to think of it. Well, I'm able to connect all my accounts, right? And really, they are able to provide me with the right information regarding my bank accounts. So if I want to buy some shares, if I want to sell some shares, if I need to transfer from one account to another account, well, everything is really done in a way which is very nice, right? With nice figures, nice graphics. They've got prediction, forecasting, and so on. So I mean, everything just in my mobile, really. And I can do things without any trouble. And I feel comfortable, and I feel secure with my application. There is no question about it. And moreover, they're able to provide me with some new algorithm. Well, I will have to see about it, but to follow the shares onto the market and so on. So giving me more experience, more information regarding the fact I can invest onto the market, and sharing with others. Do you share with others? I mean, online? I mean, normally, day to day, when you go with your friends, you share information with your friends, right? You share about about the shops, you share about the products, about the service, and so on. So the same goes with on the internet, right? Do you share on the internet? Yeah? Often? You're a nice information provider? So sharing with others is something which is important for the young people, right? I mean, for the old people like me, well, we share something, a few things, but I do share with others. So the thing is, people want to share with others. So again, you have to provide them with an experience, with a solution, which makes easy the things to share with others, right? You like it, you don't like it. You can discuss about it. I mean, there are so many ways to, but still, what is really important is that you can share with others, and you trust the others. Right? You trust the others as a customer. To some extent, you are able to make your own decision, but the more information you are able to gather, the more trustful you will be when you will be making your decision. So sharing with others is something which is quite important, and again, that's something which normally the IT solution are able to provide you with, for sure. Demand for an omnichannel approach, seamless shopping experience. So again, something continuous. The way you interact with the company, the way you interact with the school or with the university, it has to be seamless, right? It's just normal. This is the traditional, natural way of interacting with others. I mean, there is no difference, no break into the connection, to the relationship you've got with your company, with the school, or with the others. Right? And that is something which is quite complicated because again, when you look at the company, they're well verticalized within the organization. So again, even today, after 20 years of internet, when you look at the company, within the company, most often, people, they don't know about each other, or the employees, I mean. And so they are not able to provide you with the right information, right? Which is something which platforms such as Amazon, Netflix, and so on, they are able to provide you without any trouble, right? But for the large company, for the traditional company, that is something which is quite complicated. I'm not going to give you the example of my school, but sometimes when I look at the way we interact with our students, really, it seems to me we don't speak to each other within the school, I mean, really. We're asking the same information twice, 3 times a year, right? Everything is in the information system, but still, we want to be sure that the students, they know about it, so we want them to give us the information. So that is the type of thing, if you are not able to really be proactive onto that, of course your competitors are going to be much better than you do, and so some of them will they will do better than you, and of course they will win at the end of the day. And across channels and markets. If you speak about the insurance industry, for instance, I was discussing with the people from BNP, insurance is something which is quite a traditional business, right? So it goes normally when you buy a car, when you buy a house, and so on. So you've got the traditional channels. They go through people, through persons, through partners to distribute the contracts. So one of the director was explaining to me that they were using internet, and so the clients, they can use the website to buy the insurance contract they want for the type of solution they want to secure. Could be a car, could be whatever it is, right? And she was explaining to me that it's very complicated within the company to express, to show to the traditional marketing product officer that something can be done on the website, without any relationship with the traditional partners, right? Because we don't understand how the customers are now buying the contract, the insurance contract, right? So it was very complicated for them to understand that the customer is able by itself to go onto the website and then pick some pieces of service and put together the service he wants by himself without getting to someone who is going to give him the advice, right? And that's something which is quite complicated because normally this is the way it goes. And the more you are able to develop basic services using on-the-shelf piece of technologies, it's quite easy to do it anyway. Any startup right now can provide something which is quite useful, bringing all together pieces of information, pieces of service, or pieces of product, credit, features, warranty, logistics, and so on. It's quite easy actually to do it, right? But if you don't do it, then your competitors are going to do it, and then, well, again, you are going to lose your customers. And our markets are evolving. So new actors join the game. So taxis versus Uber, I don't think I have to develop too much on that. Accor versus Booking.com. You know Accor? Okay. So Accor is the owner of the many brands, Mercure, well, a lot of them, right? So normally they've got their own website, right? And you can go and rent your room from the website. Right now, Booking.com is bringing to Accor something like 20 to 30% of the total reservation, total booking. Which means that Accor don't know why the clients, they come to us, but they come to them. Because they come through Booking.com, right? So there is no direct interaction between the client and the hotel. So it may be because it's close to the place they want to go, maybe it's because of the price, maybe, but they don't have the information because Booking.com is the one to get to have the information. So if you don't have information from your markets, you know there is a law in marketing. The closer to your market, the better you understand your clients. The further you are from your markets, the lower your capacity to really understand your markets, right? So Booking.com is an intermediary which really breaks the link between the Accor and the customer. So how you want to adapt your marketing, your offers, your services, even your hotel locations, if you want to adapt your locations. You don't know because you don't have access to the information, right? It's quite complicated. So fortunately, Accor did buy an application which is called WePolo. So WePolo is a platform, an application, mobile application, in which you are able to gather all the information regarding your trips, from the flights, the car rental, the room booking. So at least through that, there are some information regarding the type of information. But still, it's very complicated when you've got someone between you and your market, coming onto the market, able to get all the information, give you only the small information you need for you to manage your business, and that's something complicated, right? But at the same time, what is very good, I was discussing with an abuela in the north of Spain, in the middle of nowhere, really. So she's something like 65 years old, and she's using Booking.com to rent her dormitories. In the middle of nowhere. Nice place, huh? Nothing to be seen, but nice place. Complicated to go, but well. And she was using Booking.com to rent the rooms. So the fact is, those actors, when they come into the market, they change the way the market is organized. There is always a change. There is no question. Maybe they won't stay onto the market, but they will change and they will have an impact on the way the clients are looking at the company, right? And again, because of the technology. Because of the technology, right? Without the platform, without internet, with the development of mobile applications and so on, there is no way Booking.com should be so much successful. But right now, they have to. So there's some disrupting the market. Again, Accor versus Airbnb. So Accor is in a very bad position right now. Can you imagine? So Booking.com for joining the clients, Airbnb for renting the rooms. Whew, life is getting complicated, right? That is transformation, the digital transformation for you. So the point is, they have to do something similar if they want to be, similar in the sense they're not going to be the same they got the same offer. But the way they interact with the market, the way they interact with the customers, they have to do the same. Otherwise, they will just put out of the market. Yves Rocher, I don't know if you know Yves Rocher, which is a French cosmetic company, but in that case, this is not the French cosmetic. They're the one dealing with the product to clean the houses. Airbnbs, you know Airbnbs? So they're the people taking care of the rooms before and after the rental, right? So there are some companies dealing with cleaning product, so they deal with those Airbnbs. So Yves Rocher was used to use Facebook and traditional approach to sell the cleaning product, and they are facing now the solution provided by Airbnbs, in which the people they've got a cooperative in which they can buy the product to clean before and after the room. And again, that is something Yves Rocher was not really expecting. I'm not going to say that they're closing the business, but still, it makes life for them very complicated to have such a new competitors with a new way to interact with the clients. And they were not really able to understand how the market of Airbnb was developing into the world. So in fact, not only they lose the market share going up, but as well they lose the way to interact with the traditional client. Arianespace versus SpaceX. You know SpaceX? Okay. You don't know Arianespace? No, well. Okay, so SpaceX is again Musk, Elon Musk. Arianespace is the national space agency in Europe. The happy father of Ariane, right? The launcher. And I was discussing with people from Arianespace about the SpaceX. So SpaceX is a private company, US company. They're doing well. They've been able to raise a few billion of dollars, really. And they wanted to change the technology used to launch the satellites, right? So the idea is that when you want to launch a satellite, you've got the launcher, you've got the satellite, and each time you launch a satellite, you kill the launcher. And the launcher is quite expensive, yes. So they wanted to do something they wanted to reuse part of the launcher, right? So we're discussing with people from Arianespace, and they say, well, at the beginning we're just loafing. No. We know that technically that's something which is possible. We can design and produce launcher we can reuse, but it's very expensive. And the way that we are a public space agency, we know that the government is not going to give us that much money to test something which will take time and money to be developed. So in fact, it was a solution, a technological solution they did not decide to go for because the cost was too much expensive, the cost of designing and investing in the R&D. SpaceX, they did it, right? So at the beginning, not successful, but no, it's okay. It will be working, right? So it seems that the way the market is organized, the way SpaceX was able to raise the money in the private sector, they are able to put a new solution, a new technological solution onto the market, which is going to disrupt the market. Because of course, if you are able to reduce as much as possible the cost of launching a satellite, which is the main cost for when you compare the different solutions available to you, of course, they will be the one to stay onto the market, and then the others will have to get out of the market. So of course, Arianespace will be staying because of military purposes, because of strategic policy, but still, I mean, the market they've got will be reducing because SpaceX will be able to reduce the cost of launching the satellite. Am I clear? Yeah? So again, they're able to disrupt the market. And because of technologies development, right? It's not something complicated. Discussing with the people from Arianespace, they keep on telling us that that is something they could have done. There is no specific knowledge. I mean, you have to develop knowledge, of course, but there is nothing written in rupture regarding the type of technology. Only the way you are able to develop the solution itself was something new, actually. So there is always someone coming to come and disrupt your market, especially now, right? The thing is, the governments are lagging behind. Normally, the law is able to correct the market, not to predict or to forecast the market. Fortunately, I don't know. Well, depends for the lawyers, maybe not, but for us, well, much better. which means that there are so many solutions put onto the market that the governments, the cities, the states, they're not able to really predict and to forecast something. So they're not able to really vote or to issue the laws which are necessary to go along with the new solutions, right? Sometimes they are very quick, very fast on coming back to the regulation. If you take the Canadian state, for instance, regarding Airbnb, they were very fast coming to that and issuing some laws to regulate the use of Airbnb. While in France, so depends, still. Uber is okay, but Airbnb not so well received. So which means that there is always a time, a moment, I don't know how much time, but it's quite complicated to see, but there is always a moment in which the market is going to be disrupted, and as the traditional actors onto the market, you won't be able to do anything except facing the coming competition, right? So that is something you can go into it, but for sure, there will be always a lag between the moment you put the new solution and the moment the government or the laws will be issued to correct eventually the wrong of the situation. What is interesting right now in Europe, we've got this general data protection regulation, which means that as the customer, if you want to share the data, right, you have to ask my consent before. So it's a big change. It's a big change. Even at school, for instance, we were discussing at school, we could not imagine how much people we have to ask, how many people have to ask their consent regarding the use of data. It's just tremendous, right? Which means that, again, that is something which is quite important because you won't be able to do everything or anything with the data from your customers or from your employees or from your partners, and that is something which is quite important right now because really the amount of data you can get from your colleagues, from your customers, from your partners is so huge and easy to get, right? Right now with my mobile, I can go onto the website, got 3 lines of code, and I will be able to use the biometric solutions just to take pictures of you. I don't have to develop something. It's already on the shelf, right? 3 lines of code, copy paste, and then I have it. Do I need your consent? Well, of course I do. Well, that it depends, but I mean that is something which is quite very simple. It's very simple to do. There is no question about it. So again, that's something. In fact, when you look at the academic environment, at the industrial, the business environment, I think that right now they know that they are facing digital transformation. When you deal with the government, I'm not sure they really understand what's going on, for sure. Very few countries, in fact, speaking about the governments, the parliament, and so on, very few countries in the world are able to really understand what's going on. There are 2 countries which seems to me quite advanced regarding that. The first one is Estonia in Europe, in East Europe. They do a lot of things and are very keen because from the very beginning, after the 2000 something, they wanted to go very online. They've been the first victim of the online war with Russia, for instance. But still, from the very beginning, they wanted to develop online services, online government, online law, everything online, and they are getting the best out of it. Really, it's complicated. It takes time. They are under threat, but still, that is something which is quite interesting to observe and to analyze. And the same goes to some extent to Finland. Finland is the same. They are very much keen on open data, also all those solutions, which mean that normally they are developing the law, all the framework, the legal framework for the companies to really and the citizens to use the information in the right way. Alors, making the best of your employees, providing seamless experience. We discussed already that point before, right? You have to know your customers, you have to interact with your customers, which means that your employees need to know which type of information they can share, which are the processes they can share, how they can really interact to give the best of your company to your customers. And the thing is really the innovative organization, multi-dimensional data, right? It's very complicated. There is no only one solution. It really depends the way which data you have, first of all, what do you want to do with your customers? The very first question is, what do you want to do with your customers? What is your mission? What is your market, right? If you don't know what you want to do, well, you won't be doing anything. Of course, you will be doing things for sure, but I mean, you won't be doing the right things. So the question is, who do you are? Who do you are, right? Who are you serving? Who are you? What is your mission? Speaking about the school, speaking about the company, the mission, you have to be clear about the mission. If you're not clear about the mission, if you're not on your mission, if you're not able to really develop around your mission, you won't be able to get anything. If you look at Microsoft, for instance, Microsoft is not successful right now. They are making a lot of money. There is no issue. But they are not leading the pack, for sure. Regarding mobile, no way, right? They came to work with Nokia, but they're successful. They don't understand the market. I mean, if you look at the mission of Microsoft, put a PC on every table, okay, they have done it before, there is no question, but nothing more than that. So they are not mobile, and they are not going to be mobile. I'm sorry. I mean, they are going to be nomadic, for sure, but not mobile. On the contrary, if you look at Google, Google is they want to organize the information around the world. So if you want to organize the information around the world, it means that every time you have information, you need to organize that information. When you look at all the services provided by Google, Google Maps, Google Health, well, every type of solutions, it always goes along with the mission. Of course, we know that because they want to know you, and they want your data, and then they want to be able to really provide you with the right ad or the right publicity because they're able to make money out of it. But still, I mean, the mission of Google means that they are able to really they are aligned with our mission and their capacity to provide the solution or the experience to the customers. So this is the way it goes for employees. Depending on your mission, if you're not able to share the mission you've got with your employees, they won't be able to develop something which is not aligned with your mission, which is not aligned with your culture, right? Digital transformation is not only about technology, it's all about culture and human resources and people. It's only people. People matters. People matters, right? We need to work together. We need to work together. We need to interact with each other. People from engineering, from human resources, from marketing, and so on. People from design. I mean, if you want to be innovative, you need diversity. If you don't have diversity, you won't be able to be innovative, right? So you need your clients to be innovative in that sense, your employees, sorry. And that is why you need to really approach your mission and your company within a multidimensional approach. Otherwise, you won't be able to get out of it. There are so many ways to get that information that otherwise you won't be able to do it. But the thing is, once you've got the data and the processes, how you transform those data and processes into customer interaction, right? Employees are the one to do it. So maybe you've got very nice technologies, but you've got very, not stupid, but plain employees. So they won't be able to get the most out of the data available to them, right? So again, you really understand you have to train your employees. You have to show them that if you've got data, and they can use it to really offer the best to your clients. Otherwise, you won't be able to do it. So it's not only about technology and data, but really the way you are able to transform that information into something which is useful for the employees, for the people to interact with the customers at the end. And leadership, right? Engagement and responsibility. And the same goes for the student, right? We want our students to be engaged. We want our students to be responsible, right? And the same goes for the employees. If you want your employees to give the best to your customers and to give the best to the company, you have to engage your employees, for sure. So again, we know that there are so many changes around the company or within the company. It's getting complicated, right? I don't know for your companies, but when you look within a company, with so many solutions, with so many changes within the company, people are they're afraid, right? They feel threatened regarding the different things within the company. Especially when you speak about solutions, technological solutions, speaking about the CRM solution, for instance, when you deal with marketing people, selling people, salespeople, right? I mean, you ask them to give more and more information to more and more information into the system. Why? Because of control, because you want to control them, you want to know what they do, you don't trust them, right? So you need to understand what they do, and you need to get information because, well, you want to control what they are doing. We know that for the salesperson, it's quite complicated to share information because, in fact, the only advantage a salesperson has is the information he has regarding the customers, right? And then he's able to move to one customer, to one company to another, right? So the question is, there is something between control and, and trust and control. So that is the engagement. If you want your employees to be really innovative and so on, because you need them to be so, you need to engage them. And you need to make them responsible. So again, speaking about innovation, try fast, fail fast, redo fast. You have to accept that your employees may be wrong. You have to accept it. Of course, you don't do everything, of course, right? But that is very much important to know that your customers, your employees, they have the right to do something, to be proactive, really, and they may be wrong. So the question, how much time are you going to wait before they will get back to you and tell, okay, I did something which is maybe wrong, right? So of course, you need to really install within the company a climate of trust to interact with them, to deal with them, right? Again, with IT solution, it's so simple for an employee to do something within the company by itself that sometimes even the IT people, they don't know what's going on. So you know that some people are doing something, a few things by themselves, right? A startup, let's say within the company, right? You work in the marketing department. You want to reorganize the information regarding your clients. Your boss or the IT department doesn't want you to use a very technical solutions. Well, you go on the website and you are using Pipedrive. Pipedrive, you know what it is? CRM solution, $5 a day, $5 a month. So the cost is nothing. You just need an access to the web, and you've got a very nice CRM solution to manage your clients without everyone else knowing about it, without nothing regarding data privacy management. Nobody cares, right? And the employees is able to do something by himself. So anyway, if they feel engaged and responsible, then they will do something together. Otherwise, they will be losing. You will be losing, in fact, the end of it. So the question is, just to conclude, you have to reconsider how to market and demands, technological changes, customers, competitors, and employees. The final point is really that at school, on campus, we try to have the students working together. Students from the School of Engineering, the School of Management, and right now we are using people we are inviting students from the School of Design. Everyone has got his own advantage and limits, right? You need to work together because otherwise there's so much diversity. If you are diverse in your capacity to work together, to team up together, you will be able to take advantage from everyone, bringing the ideas and so on. Of course, we know that it's not going to be easy, for sure, but at least we are able to work together. Everyone is bringing his own piece of information, his own competencies or skills, and at the end of the day, when you work together, when you look at the ideas which are provided by such a group, they're much more creative, much more interesting than the traditional idea we can get from a team of engineers or a team of managers or a team of designers working alone. But you have to work together since the very beginning. And that is something which is quite complicated within the company. When you look at startups, for instance, even within the startups, most of the time, there is a moment, the CMO and the CTO, they don't work together. They used to work together from the very beginning, but there is one moment they stop working together. And the moment you stop working together, you're done. You're doomed. You can forget about your business, right? So speaking about the way the market now is changing, is very much important to bring everyone again together, because you have to rethink the world you are living in. The world is changing, really. Old world, new world. There is a world dying, a new world emerging. Really, there is no question about it. Whatever the country you are in, there is no question, something is on, for sure. So you have really understand that you have to work with others to bring something new, because by yourself, on yourself, you won't be able to change the world or to think the world by yourself, for sure. So you have to work with others, and the more diverse the people you will be working with, and the more successful you will be. And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.